Part 6. Dimensional Chosen, Only I Know Saitama is the Strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 51. The three of them hurried on quickly under the moonlight. It only took an hour to reach the valley. After a while, Fang Ye saw a place where people lived by a river. There are more than a dozen wooden houses here, as well as stables for horses. All wooden houses and stables are surrounded by a row of wooden fences to prevent wild beasts from entering in the middle of the night. It's like a small village. At a glance, you can tell that this group of bandits has established a base here and intends to operate it for a long time. They have all started families here. A mere wooden fence cannot stop Fang Ye. He grabbed the zombie with his left hand and Suzuki with his right hand. He jumped into the fence. There were several gray horses in the stable. When they saw Fang Ye coming in, they snorted a few times, their eyes alert and frightened. Animals have far greater capabilities than humans in certain aspects of perception. The yin and death energy in Mr. Ren's body made these horses feel very uneasy. Fang Ye's goal is not these horses, so he will naturally ignore them. He looked at the fence around him and thought this was pretty good. If there is a commotion later, the bandits will not be able to escape, so they are trapped in a cocoon. Thinking of this, Fang Ye patted the zombie's shoulder and said calmly, "Go drink blood. If you dare to run away again, be careful, I'll break your legs." This is really not Fang Ye's bragging. The zombie's body is indeed very hard. However, Fang Ye's power is stronger. If he wanted to, he could even tear off the zombie's legs. Mr. Ren couldn't understand what Fang Ye said. Its current intelligence is very low. However, Mr. Ren vaguely understood what Fang Ye meant by pushing it. Fortunately, it had smelled the scent of many living people in the surrounding wooden houses. Instinct drives it to drain the blood of these people. Subsequently, Old Master Ren jumped up and down and came to the first wooden house. Before entering, it hesitated for a moment, glanced at Fang Ye secretly, and confirmed that Fang Ye was not angry, then continued to approach the wooden house. It seemed that Fang Ye had really caused a great psychological shadow on Mr. Ren. As long as Fang Ye snorted coldly, Old Man Ren would never dare to make a mistake, and would just stay there and not dare to move. The first wooden house. The door happened to be open. After Mr. Ren entered the wooden house, he saw a bald man on the bed, shirtless and sleeping soundly. Seeing this, Mr. Ren couldn't wait any longer. He rushed over and bit the strong man's throat in one bite. Ho ho! His throat was bitten off, and the bald man suddenly woke up, his eyes widened, there was a clogged sound in his throat, and his hands were waving wildly and struggling. The human throat is a fatal part, but after being bitten off, you will not die for a short time. The bald man could only watch helplessly as the zombies drain the blood from his body. This home usually when robbing homes, I like to bleed people so that the innocent victims bleed to death. Now, he has also been sucked out of blood by zombies and died. What a retribution! After Mr. Ren sucked up the strong man's blood, he immediately let out a low roar of pleasure. Moreover, Mr. Ren felt that his strength had increased a bit. This makes it even more desperate for blood. Soon, Mr. Ren rushed to the second wooden house. The door of this wooden house was bolted. Of course, Mr. Ren would not unlock it, so he chose to open it directly. Boom! The door of the wooden house collapsed suddenly, making a lot of noise. This time, most of the bandits in the bandit camp were finally surprised. Enemy attack. The bandit in the wooden house saw a black figure rushing toward him. He shouted suddenly, pulled out the gold-backed machete on the cabinet next to him, and slashed at Mr. Ren with one blow. Clang! The knife struck Mr. Ren on the shoulder, but it was like hitting an iron stone, and there was a sound of the blade cracking. It wasn't that Mr. Ren had a high defense. It was the knives of these bandits, which were of poor quality. Looking at the missing sword, the bandit was so frightened that it was too late to run away. At this time, old Master Ren was completely close to him and rushed towards him. The bandit also saw clearly the green face, fangs, and ferocious face of old Master Ren. Ghost! The bandit screamed in horror, and before he could struggle, Mrs. Ren bit his neck. The artery was punctured, and a large amount of blood poured into Mr. Ren's mouth. Mrs. Ren drank it as if he was drinking poplar nectar. In just a few breaths, he drank most of the blood from the bandit. Then, Mr. Ren threw down the bandit's body and continued to look for the next target. At this time, the camp was already in chaos. Countless bandits were after hearing the enemy attack just now. Manchu put on his clothes and rushed out with weapons. What happened? Where is the enemy? The bandits were making a fuss, and happened to see the zombie jumping out of the second wooden house. Under the moonlight, they could see that Mr. Ren's face was ferocious, and the exposed canine teeth were covered with blood, which was terrifying. Ghost! Some timid ones shouted and turned pale with fright. But there were also bold bandit leaders who shouted, "Don't be afraid, there are so many of us, we can kill it together." After hearing the boss's words, everyone cheered up and quickly followed the boss and rushed towards Mr. Ren. Unfortunately, they were just trying to block the car and did not know what they could do. Even though Mr. Ren was beaten badly by Fang Ye, that's because Fang Yeqiang's perversion. These bandits are just ordinary people. How can they defeat zombies? Human C tactics? At most, they can make Mr. Ren full. What's more, Mr. Ren drank the blood of 2 people in a row, and his strength improved a lot, and his body even harder. The swords and guns of these bandits were unable to break through the defense of Mr. Ren. A one-sided massacre began. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 52. At this time, a one-sided massacre took place in the bandit camp. Old Master Ren was like a tiger charging into a flock of sheep, slaughtering them and drinking their blood. Camp entrance. Seeing this tragic scene, Fang Ye looked calm. Suzuki turned away, unable to bear to look at it anymore. How? Can't bear it anymore? Fang Ye said calmly, "Look at the tree on your left. There are human skins hanging on it. These bandits deserve to die. If you can't even stand this scene, I suggest you drop out of school as soon as possible after returning to school and go back to live an ordinary life. Forbidden land is not for you." Hearing this, Suzuki's pretty face was startled, and he looked towards the big tree with a crooked neck on the left. There were indeed pieces of skin hanging on it, and he didn't know what these bandits wanted with the human skin. Suzuki, it gave me chills in my heart to see so many completed human skins, each of which was a human life. At the same time, Fang Ye's words also made Suzuki reflect. Is she really not suitable for breaking into the forbidden area? Okay. She admitted, next to her the smelly guy is right. The forbidden area is already very dangerous. The further you go, the more dangerous it becomes. If you still have these ridiculous sympathies, it may indeed harm her in the future. I just haven't adapted to such a scene yet. Suzuki rolled her eyes at Fang Ye, then endured the discomfort in her heart and looked towards the battlefield. When Fang Ye heard this, he just smiled and said nothing more. It was Fang Ye who could remind Suzuki because this girl was quite obedient. At this time, new changes took place on the battlefield. After paying the price of 7 or 8 lives, these bandits finally realized that the vicious zombie in front of them was impossible to defeat. They were frightened. Ah! Ghost! Run quickly, we can't kill it. Help! Boss, help me! The few remaining bandits completely lost the confidence to fight and began to choose to escape. The fence has only one exit, which is in the direction of Fang Ye. When the bandits discovered that there were 2 figures at the exit, they were startled. But wait until they see clearly. Fang Ye and Suzuki. Just 2 normal humans. The bandits were no longer afraid, and even had ferocious looks on their faces. "Get out of here, labor." The bandit leader raised his knife and rushed toward Fang Ye. Facing several bandits rushing over, Fang Ye just grabbed a handful of stones from the ground and threw them out one by one. Whoosh! Whoosh! There was a sound of breaking through the air. The stones thrown by Fang Ye were as powerful as bullets. The bandits soon screamed in agony. Their leg bones were broken by the stones and they fell to the ground. In the blink of an eye, they could only see a few. The bandit fell to the ground, wailing. From beginning to end, Fang Ye didn't move his feet, he just moved his fingers. "Why are you so powerful?" Suzuki exclaimed. "Practice hard since childhood," Fang Ye replied with a smile. Even if Suzuki could be trusted, Fang Ye did not reveal the secret of Saitama's physique. "Remember, keep it a secret for me when you go out, I don't want to show off," Fang Ye said again. Suzuki nodded quickly. "I don't like to be a big mouth either." While the two were talking, Mr. Ren had already drained the blood of the bandits next to him. His scarlet eyes were focused on the bandits whose legs had been broken by Fang Ye. "Ah! Don't come, don't come! Help! Hero, save us!" No matter how the bandits called or begged, Fang Ye always looked calm and indifferent. Suzuki thought of Fang Ye's lesson just now. Although he still had good intentions and could not be indifferent, he could control himself and pretend not to hear. Finally, Ren the old man rushed over, and these bandits all died in despair and pain. The bite wounds on the necks of all the bandits were turning black. This was a sign of corpse poison. At this moment, the mutation happened. After Mr. Ren drank the blood of all the bandits, his scarlet eyes suddenly focused on Fang Ye and Suzuki. It can be seen that after drinking the blood of more than a dozen bandits, many things happened to Mr. Ren's body. Obvious changes. Its size has grown a lot, its claws are sharper, and its eyes have become scarlet. Its body has become darker and looks harder, but its bones and joints have become able to move freely, and it no longer needs to jump. Able to walk like a normal person, a pair of scarlet eyes slowly appeared with a gaze that opened his mind. At this time, Mr. Ren was like a crazed beast. There was an aura of madness all over his body. It was obvious, Mrs. Ren has evolved. "Fang Ye, something is very wrong with this zombie. It seems to be targeting us," Suzuki said worriedly. "This bitch, thinking that he has gained some strength, doesn't know the heights of the world, and dares to show his teeth to his master?" Fang Ye said calmly. It seems that the fight before was not enough, so it didn't remember the lesson. Although Fang Ye's tone was very calm, his eyes were cold. Then, Fang Ye slowly walked a few steps towards old Mrs. Ren, stood not far from old Mrs. Ren, and raised his fingers at old Mrs. Ren. In old Mrs. Ren's eyes, there was some hesitation. In the end, the desire for blood defeated his reason, prompting Mr. Ren to rush towards Fang Ye. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dimensional Chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mung Garden. Chapter 53. A few minutes later, old Master Ren lay motionless on the ground like a dead dog. It was beaten severely by Fang Ye again. Moreover, Fang Ye's attack this time was heavier than last time. He simply pressed Mr. Ren to the ground and rubbed him. A deep hole was made in the ground. Old Master Ren was lying in the pit, miserable. Although the current Mr. Ren has evolved, he is still several levels behind Fang Ye's strength. From the moment it dared to attack Fang Ye, it couldn't escape after a beating. Fang Ye clapped his hands and looked condescendingly at Mr. Ren. You are such a bear, how dare you bare your teeth at me? Fang Ye heard that as Ye spoke, Mrs. Ren's scarlet eyes showed a look of humanized fear. Its intelligence is also increasing with evolution. Perhaps in the end of evolution, Mr. Ren's wisdom may be no less than that of others. Only, Mr. Ren no longer has this opportunity. Because through the incident just now, Fang Ye understood that zombies are white-eyed wolves who don't remember to fight. Once you gain strength, you will always think about attacking your master. Fang Ye has decided. When Mr. Ren evolves again, he will kill this thing and replace it with a little zombie to serve as a dog. In order to prevent Mr. Ren from always thinking about backlash after he gains strength. And it would not be safe to keep old Master Ren alive until he was killed. If this bitch evolves a few more times and has the strength to compete with Fang Ye, it will always be a problem. In order to avoid such trouble, the best way: just strangle old Mrs. Ren in the cradle. Suzuki-u, go and drag out all the bodies in the house. Fang Ye ordered. By the way, let's see if there is anything in the house that we can use. Okay. Suzuki-u agreed and began to search in various wooden houses. She didn't have to worry, there would be bandits hiding in the wooden houses. Professor Joe had taught everyone a long time ago that zombies are very sensitive to the smell of strangers, they can hold their breath to escape. If the wooden house there were bandits inside, so they definitely couldn't avoid the zombies. Fang Ye, on the other hand, picked up a big knife and started digging a hole in the ground. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to bury Mr. Ren. For now, Mr. Ren is still very worried about Fang Ye. Useful. He still wants to keep old Mrs. Ren as a dog to help him bite others. 10 minutes later, Fang Ye dug a big hole in the center of the camp. Suzuki also dragged out all the corpses from the wooden houses, and under Fang Ye's instructions, placed the corpses of all the bandits on the edge of the pit. Fang Ye, I just found some gold bars and the ocean in the wooden house. Suzuki said as he placed the collected belongings in front of Fang Ye. Unexpectedly, these bandits are really rich, Fang Ye said with a smile. The gold bars alone weigh several kilograms. Plus those oceans, it is enough for the two of them to spend as much as they want in the next month. Suzuki added also, I found a chain. When he saw the iron chain, Fang Ye's eyes suddenly lit up. The iron chain was very thick. Fang Ye tried it and found that it was very strong. It would be perfect to use this iron chain to tie up Mr. Ren. This saves Fang Ye from having to be on guard all the time. Let the old man run away. Well done. Fang Ye couldn't help but praise Suzuki, and then said let's go look for it and see if there is a larger wooden box that can hold it. The thing Fang Ye mentioned, of course, refers to Mr. Ren. Under normal circumstances, when bandits rob goods, they should have wooden boxes. I think I saw it in a warehouse just now. I'll go look for it. Suzuki said and walked towards the warehouse. It didn't take long. She came over carrying a big wooden box. The wooden box is rectangular, the width is enough, but the length is a bit short. Fang Ye, this is the largest wooden box, it seems a little short. Fang Ye looked at it and laughed. Not short, just right. Fang Ye said as he picked up the knife and walked towards Mr. Ren with a smirk on his face. The next scene was a bit cruel. Suzuki didn't dare to look more and turned around. Mr. Ren let out a tragic sound. Screams. Ouch. Mr. Ren was eventually put into a wooden box by Fang Ye. As for how it was installed, of course Fang Ye cut off both of its legs, seriously. Falling into the hands of Fang Ye is simply a tragedy for Mr. Ren. Now, Mr. Ren's feet were cut off and his arms were tied up with thick iron chains. He could no longer run or move at all. When Fang Ye closed the wooden box, he nodded with satisfaction. This time, it saves a lot of trouble. Even Suzuki could completely keep old man Ren under his control. Fang Ye can also free up his hands to continue his plan. Fang Ye, what do we do next? Suzuki asked. Wait. Fang Ye said when these corpses turn into zombies, we will kill them all again, and then burn the whole place with fire. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mung Garden. Chapter 54. In the original plot of Mr. Zombie. If a person is scratched by a zombie, it will take about half a day to be infected by the corpse poison and turn into a zombie. Among them, literary talent is the most obvious example. If Uncle Ju hadn't soaked him in glutinous rice water to absorb the corpse poison, Wenke would never have been able to escape. And if it is a person who is directly bitten to death by a zombie, that might only take 2 or 3 hours. Will transform into a new zombie. These bandits were all killed by Mr. Ren. It is estimated that in 2 or 3 hours, they will become new zombies. Since it's time to wait, Fang Ye decided to find something to do. His eyes looked at the horses in the stable. Xiao Su, can you ride a horse? Fang Ye asked. Xiao Su. Suzuki was also drunk when she heard this title. We are all of the same age, and in terms of months, we are not necessarily older. But Suzuki just complained in his heart. On the surface, she has completely adapted to the position of assistant. Know a little, Suzuki said. Oh. Fang Ye's eyes suddenly lit up and he said, ride it and let me take a look. Suzuki pouted, but he was still very obedient. He went to the stable, took out a horse, then got on it and started riding. These horses had been tamed long ago and were very docile. Suzuki rode the horse and ran away in the camp. After a few laps, he seemed to be able to do it with ease. How could he be so good at it? He was obviously a master of equestrian skills. And in modern society, people who can often ride horses must have rich and noble families. It can be judged from this. Suzuki's family background is not simple. At least. She is also bifume. Not bad. Fang Ye praised, and then said unceremoniously, come here and teach me how to ride. Next. He planned to ride on horseback. After all, relying on 2 legs would waste too much time. Hearing Fang Ye's words, Suzuki smiled and seemed very happy. Since entering the forbidden area, Suzuki has always been a little transparent. It's rare. Ah! I finally have an ability that can surpass Fang Ye. Fang Ye, call me teacher. Fang Ye was very thick-skinned. When he heard this, he smiled and said, okay, teacher Su, teach your students quickly. Suzuki chuckled, rolled his eyes at Fang Ye again, and then began to teach Fang Ye. Riding a horse is actually very easy to learn. Once the horse is tamed, it is very docile. As long as you don't use brute force to control it and relax your body, it will be willing to take you along. 2 hours later, Fang Ye finally found the trick to riding a horse. He sat on the horse and walked slowly around the bandit camp. He is not very skilled yet. If the horse runs too fast, Fang Ye may lose his balance and fall off. While Fang Ye was riding, Suzuki suddenly shouted, Fang Ye, they are making noise. When Fang Ye heard this, he immediately grabbed the horse and jumped off the horse. The horse also looked very uneasy, as if he was afraid of something. Fang Ye patted the horse's head, tied the horse to a nearby pillar, and walked towards Suzuki. On the ground, the corpse of a bandit was shaking. There seems to be signs of awakening. It didn't take long. The corpse's eyes opened suddenly, terrifying fangs were exposed in its mouth, and it let out a series of low roars. The first bandit's corpse has changed. Just when this junior zombie was about to get up from the ground, a big foot suddenly stepped on it and stomped it back hard. Ouch! The bandit zombie howled, struggled violently, and even wanted to bite Fang Ye. Fang Ye snorted coldly, and then removed all the arms and legs of the little zombie, making it unable to move. Suzuki, bring me the peachwood sword, Fang Ye. Okay. Suzuki immediately found the peachwood sword, walked to Fang Ye, and handed it to Fang Ye. Fanya didn't take it, and said to Suzuki to aim at its heart and stab it in. After hearing this, Suzuki was slightly startled. She was not a fool. Of course she understood that Fanya was giving her the reward for killing zombies. Why are you still stunned? Other corpses will soon follow suit, Fanya urged. Suzuki took a deep breath, raised the peachwood sword, pointed it at the little zombie's heart, and stabbed it with the sword. This peachwood sword is a magic weapon that Uncle Ju has been refining for many years. It has some magical powers, such as powerful ghost. Puff. The zombie's hard body could not stop the peachwood sword from piercing. Suzuki easily pierced the zombie's heart. Roar. Suddenly, the zombie let out a painful roar, and its whole body began to spontaneously ignite. The raging flames quickly spread all over the zombie's body. Suzuki was so frightened that he quickly pulled out his mahogany sword to avoid it. Fanya kicked the zombie into the dug pit inside and let it burn slowly in the pit. Not long after, the task reminder sounded in Suzuki's mind. Fanya, I heard the prompt. Suzuki said happily, I have completed the task of killing zombies. I can leave the forbidden area and teleport out at any time. Fanya smiled, I just killed one zombie, what are you going to do? If you kill more points before leaving, you will definitely get a high mission evaluation by then. Suzuki nodded heavily and looked at Fanya with eyes full of appreciation. Both of them were very happy. At this point, it means that their plan has been more than half successful. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 55. Next. The corpses of the bandits transformed into zombies one by one. Only. There is such a ruthless person as Fanya. They can't make any big waves at all. What awaits these little zombies is destined to be killed a second time. 17 bandits in total. Fanya killed 9 of them with his own hands, and Suzuki killed 8 of them. In addition, Fanya also tried it, using the flames to burn the zombies directly, and the result was that he was able to burn the little zombies alive. Zombies are naturally afraid of fire and even more afraid of sunlight. Unless it's a zombie with a particularly high level of Taoism. Fanya's flames are not ordinary fire, their source comes from the sun. Very restrained from evil things that are afraid of sunlight. This discovery. Fanya was pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect Lai Yan to be so powerful. In the big pit. The fire is still burning. All the corpses of the bandits are inside. Fanya raised his head and looked at the sky. In the eastern sky, the white color of fish belly at dawn had appeared. It's almost dawn. Next. Fanya used his raging fire power to burn down all the wooden houses here. Of those horses, only 3 were left, and the rest were released. He destroyed all traces of the bandits' den. After all this was done, the sky gradually became brighter. Didn't sleep all night. Fanya was in good spirits, but Suzuki looked a little tired. Suzuki, how are you? Do you want to find a place to sleep first? Suzuki smiled and shook his head. I'm okay, don't worry about me, just follow your plan, seeing what Suzuki said. Fanya said in a very straight tone, okay, let's go to the next town and rest. After that, the two set off together. As for Mr. Wren, he was locked in a wooden box and wrapped with a layer of black cloth to prevent the sun from passing through the gaps and killing him. There were 3 horses in total. Squarya and Suzuki each rode 1 horse, and there was another horse for humping old man Ren. In Renjia town, Lufang, Zhaofushan, and others didn't sleep all night. It's not that they don't want to sleep, but couldn't sleep at all. The only zombie was abducted by Fanya, and they also accepted the task of killing zombies. If the task is not completed, someone will die. How can they sleep? I'm almost dying. Now. They were dragging their tired bodies and staring with bloodshot eyes, gathering in a breakfast shop, eating and discussing countermeasures. Renjia town is so big, we searched everywhere this night. Mr. Ren and his family also sent people to look for him. Now it is certain that the zombie is definitely not in Renjia town and was taken away by someone. I don't know which bastard did it, damn, don't let me touch him, otherwise I will torture him to death. After saying that, several people were gnashing their teeth and anxious. Even Lu Feng and Zhao Fuxian couldn't sit still. At this time, the girl among the people said, everyone, I may know who kidnapped them. Zombies. Oh, a boy couldn't wait to ask Menchu, do you know? Who is it? Everyone turned their attention to the girls. Meng Shu said before coming to the forbidden area, Boss Lu told us that the instructor hopes that we can get rid of the 2 seed students from Wushan Academy in the forbidden area. And from last night to now, I have traveled all over the town and have not found these 2 people. I also specifically asked the students at Wushan Academy, and they all said they had not seen the 2 of them. Therefore, I guess it is very likely that they have also accepted the task of killing zombies, and their ideas are the same as ours. I have to say that the girl is really attentive. She was able to find out this while tracking down the whereabouts of the zombies, which is pretty good. In other words, it is very likely that those 2 bastards were the ones who robbed the zombies. A boy gritted his teeth and asked fiercely. Menchu guessed, I think so. Damn it, even if there is no task given by the instructor this time, I will not let them go. However, the poor students from the Rubbish Academy actually affected our plans and caused our employees to have no sleep all night. Damn it! Several students said harsh words one after another. Lu Feng frowned and said, the key now is to find them. Someone suggested. I think we can ask Uncle Ju from Yizhuang for help. The instructor said that this old Taoist priest is quite capable and knows some magical Taoism. Maybe he has the Taoism to track people. That's right, you can try this Taoist priest. How can we convince him to help us? Does this still require convincing? The body was lost in his righteous village. He has the responsibility to find the body. Otherwise, he himself will not be able to explain to the Ren family. Then let's do it, let's go there early after eating. After everyone confirmed the plan, they ate a few mouthfuls of steamed buns and immediately set off to Yizhuang. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dimensional Chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 56. At this time, Fang Ye rode a tall horse and returned to the previous village. There is nothing to eat in the bandits' den. He wanted to come to the village and take some dry food with him to eat on the way. By the way, ask for directions. When I walked to the entrance of the village, I saw the village chief and several villagers, all carrying baskets, waiting here for a long time. Fang Ye smiled slightly when he saw this. The village chief is also an old fox with high EQ and IQ. He must have seen the fire burning in the valley at night, and knew that Fang Ye had gone to deal with the bandits overnight, so he took the villagers and waited here early in the morning. If Fang Ye comes, just give me something, hoping Fang Ye won't embarrass the village. It would be better if Fang Ye just left without coming. Village chief, good morning. Fang Ye jumped off the horse and said hello with a smile. The village chief recognized these horses at a glance. They were all bandits' horses. His heart suddenly shivered, but a smile appeared on his face. The strong man killed all the bandits in one night and brought harm to the people. What a great hero! The village chief flattered him, and then invited him again. The strong man must be thirsty and tired, right? Why not go in first, sit down, have a rest and have some breakfast? Fang Ye shook his head, too lazy to talk to the village chief about such nonsense, and said directly, there's no need to rest. I need some dry food and boiled clean water. The village chief said quickly, it's been prepared. As he said this, he asked the villagers next to him to open the baskets in their hands. It contains some steamed buns, dry biscuits, bacon, and other things, as well as a lot of eggs. We don't need the eggs, everything else will be packed for us, Fang Ye said very rudely. This is the deal that he and the village chief discussed last night. Fang Ye killed the bandits. The village chief is responsible for rewarding him. The village chief asked people to pack the food with clean cloth and took it from his body. Took out a few pieces of ocean, and carefully handed them to Fang Ye. Warrior, this is a little bit of travel expenses collected by the villagers for you. I hope you don't dislike it. Fang Ye smiled and shook his head. He had gained a lot of money in the bandits' den, and he no longer needed the little money contributed by the village. It's not easy for the folks, so I don't want the money. Hearing this, the village chief was overjoyed. Fang Ye said again, we still need to trouble the village chief to show us the way. Oh? The village chief said quickly, where are you going, strong man? Village chief, do you know where there are many foreigners around here? Fang Ye asked. The village chief said without thinking, if you want to say that there are many foreigners around here, it must be the provincial capital, especially the dock of the provincial capital. A large number of foreign ships come in every day. Hearing this, Fang Ye's eyes suddenly lit up. Subsequently, under the guidance of the village chief, he and Suzuki rode towards the provincial capital. At the same time, in Yizhuang, Uncle Ju looked at the few young people who came to the door, frowned and asked, what do you want from me? Lu Feng and Zhao Fuxian looked at each other, and finally a young man who was the most eloquent stood up. Entrusted by Master Ren, I came here to investigate the corpse theft case. Hearing this, Uncle Ju's face was a little confused. Because the body was lost in Yizhuang, he had an unshirkable responsibility. Uncle Ju did not doubt the identity of these people, and even felt that these unfamiliar faces, maybe Mr. Ren deliberately found him to urge him to find Mr. Ren's body as soon as possible. The body was lost in Yizhuang, I will be responsible. Uncle Ju generously accepted the responsibility and said to several people, can you please go back and tell Master Ren that I will definitely find the body. Of course Lu Feng and others will not run back. They are not really Master Ren's people. The young man is a smart man and immediately said, Uncle Ju, Master Ren told us before coming here that we will not see the body of the old man. We will not leave. Hearing this, Uncle Ju looked helpless. All right. Then come with me to find Mr. Ren's body. Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard this. The Taoist Master Jushu really had a way to find Mr. Ren. Next, Uncle Ju started the practice. He first wrote down Mr. Ren's birthday and horoscope on a piece of paper. Then he folded the pieces of paper into paper figures, dripped them with rooster blood, placed them on the table, and muttered something. After reciting an obscure mantra, Uncle Ju suddenly opened his eyes and shouted, Immortal guides the way. Suddenly, a strange phenomenon appeared. The paper man suddenly stood up from the ground, as if he had come to life. He also stretched out his hand and pointed his finger in a certain direction. It was Fang Ye and Suzuki who left with Mr. Ren yesterday. Direction. Seeing this scene, Lu Feng, Zhao Fuxian, and others were all surprised. Uncle Ju's Taoism opened their eyes. When Cai, Chiu Sheng, I'm going to find Mr. Ren's body. You two should watch his Wang. Uncle Ju ordered his two apprentices. Hearing this, Wen Kai and Chiu Sheng agreed. Got it, Master. Uncle Ju looked at Zhao Fuxian and others again. Are you guys going to come with me or wait in Yizhuang? We are with you, Zhao Fuxian said. Okay, let's go. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 57. Along the way, Uncle Ju discovered that several young people were very unusual. Even that girl who looks pretty has amazing physical strength. After walking through the barren mountains and ridges all morning, I didn't even say I was tired, nor did I fall behind. Until noon. Uncle Ju took Zhao Fuxian and others to the bandits' den. At this time, the bandits' den had long been burned into ruins. Lu Feng picked up a piece of burnt charcoal from the dust and said calmly, "There is still a temperature, which means that this place was burned down not long ago." A young man found a large knife with a gap and said to everyone, "Although the quality of this knife is not very good, the gap it made means that it hit something very hard." The girl Meng Shu discovered the deep pit in the center of the bandits' den. "Come and take a look, there are many burnt corpses here." Hearing this, everyone walked over one after another. Uncle Ju just glanced at it, his face changed drastically, and he said, "Oh no, get out of." "Uncle Ju, what's wrong?" Menchu asked. "These corpses have a lot of yin energy, and they have all been transformed into corpses." Uncle Ju's face was ugly. After hearing Uncle Ju's words, everyone immediately understood what was going on. It must be the two rats from the Martial Saint Academy who controlled old Master Ren and bit these people to death first, waiting for their corpses. After the change, kill them again to get the mission evaluation. When they thought that someone else had succeeded in their plan, everyone was extremely angry. A young man couldn't help but curse, "You bastard, wait until I find them. Be sure to turn them into zombies first and then kill them." Uncle Ju immediately looked at the young man, frowned and asked, "Your Excellency seems to know the ways of zombies." The young man knew that he had made a mistake, which aroused Uncle Ju's suspicion, and said immediately, "Uncle Ju, I was just joking, don't take it seriously." The others glared at the young man, making him embarrassed. Although Uncle Ju did not go into details, he began to doubt the intentions of these young people and became wary of them. Menchu came out to smooth things over Uncle Ju. "It's still important to chase people now." Uncle Ju didn't say anything more and continued to use the Immortal Guidance Taoist technique to track the traces of Mrs. Ren. After an hour, they came to a nearby village. When the village chief saw this group of people, he was very surprised and wary. "Who are these people? What are you doing in our village?" Uncle Ju politely stepped forward and asked, "Are you the village chief?" The village chief nodded. "I am." "Village chief, have you ever seen a man carrying a coffin passing by?" Uncle Ju asked. Seeing that Uncle Ju was upright and not like a bad guy, the village chief thought about it and said truthfully, "Yesterday evening, someone did come to the village with a coffin, but it was not one person, but a pair of young people. Couple." Hearing this, before Uncle Ju said anything, a voice sounded behind him. Sure enough, it was them. The one who spoke was the fast-talking young man just now. Uncle Ju immediately turned his head and looked at everyone meaningfully. "What? Do you know the person who robbed the body?" He is now certain that these people must be hiding some important information from him. Seeing Uncle Ju's suspicious eyes, the young man knew that he was about to make a mistake again. "Song Ming, if you don't speak, no one will treat you as a mute." The other young man couldn't help it and yelled, "This is a pig teammate." The young man named Song Ming knew that he was wrong and did not dare to refute. His face turned red and green. Lu Feng glanced at his teammates and stood up to Ju Feng. "Uncle," said Uncle Ninth, "we do know those two people. They are our fellow disciples, but they have evil intentions and have taken the wrong path. The purpose of stealing old Master Ren's body this time was probably to raise it. Master knew about this and was afraid that they would cause trouble, so he specially sent us here to clean up the house." These words shocked Menchu and others. They never expected that Boss Lu, who usually seemed to be talkative and serious, would lie without blinking an eyelid. It was almost as if he was telling the truth. Even Zhao Fuxian looked sideways and looked at Lu Feng, a little surprised. However, Uncle Ju was already wary of these people and would not easily believe them anymore. Regarding Lu Feng's words, Uncle Ju was also wary of these people. Doubtful. Let's talk about this later. Uncle Ju said something, then looked at the village chief and asked village chief, do you know who lives in that valley? Valley? The place was previously occupied by a group of bandits who robbed homes and committed all kinds of evil. When the village chief said this, he asked Uncle Ju, Taoist priest, have you been to the valley, are all the bandits there dead? Seeing Uncle Ju nodding, the village chief immediately said cheerfully, okay, it's true that evil comes with evil consequences. The strong man who came last night was indeed true to his word and was a hero. These words have a certain meaning. The main reason is that the village chief just heard what Lu Feng said and felt it was inappropriate and biased. In the eyes of the village chief, neither Fang Ye nor the girl looked like bad people. What's more, they also helped the village get rid of the bandits and were kind to the village. Of course, the village chief is a smart man and would not dare to offend anyone by saying it directly. He could only vaguely remind Uncle Ju in this way. Here the village chief's words made Uncle Ju feel much better. The fact that the other party used bandits to raise corpses showed that they still had conscience in their hearts and would not harm innocent people. At the same time, Uncle Ju became more suspicious of the motives of Lu Feng and others. Dimensional Chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mung Garden. Chapter 58. On the provincial road. Fang Ye was riding a horse with Suzuki-u, walking side by side. The provincial capital is far away. The two of them have been riding for 6 or 7 hours. At our current speed, we can reach the provincial capital in about an hour. Suzuki-u said while looking at the map. Fang Ye nodded and was about to say something. Suddenly, the sound of an engine came from behind. The two of them immediately looked back. They saw behind them, at the end of the provincial road, there is a row of black dots. The black dots are moving very fast, getting closer and closer, and the sound of the engine is getting louder and louder. Fang Ye's mental attributes have been improved, and his eyesight is extraordinary. He can see those black dots. There were 3-wheeled motorcycles and several old-fashioned pickup trucks following behind. After Fang Ye saw the driver of the motorcycle clearly, his eyes suddenly turned cold, and murderous intent burst out. At this time, Suzuki also saw clearly who was coming. I couldn't help but ask Fang Ye, should we hide away? Need not. Fang Ye looked calm. If there is a conflict later, just find an obstacle to hide and leave the rest to me. Suzuki's pretty face turned pale when he heard this, but he still nodded obediently. After spending the past 2 days with Fang Ye, Suzuki also had a general understanding of Fang Ye's character. This guy is definitely the kind of person who tells the truth. Soon, a motorcade caught up with Fang Ye and Suzuki and stopped in front of them. From the car, many soldiers wearing yellow military uniforms jumped out. They held bayonets and guns in their hands and looked at Fang Ye unscrupulously with extremely aggressive eyes. When this group of soldiers saw the beautiful Suzuki, their eyes lit up, showing unabashed greed. Flower girl. Yo West, yo West. The leading officer with a mustache said something, causing many soldiers behind him to laugh mockingly. However, this was on a provincial highway. This group of soldiers did not rush to take action. Instead, they pointed at a traitor and said, yours, go over and question him. Okay, Taejun. The traitor was a middle-aged man. He nodded and bowed to the officer with a flattering smile. But when he turned his head and faced Fang Ye, his whole temperament instantly changed, becoming arrogant and arrogant. Where are you from? Where to go? The traitor glared at Fang Ye fiercely. Fang Ye didn't pay attention to the traitor at all. He kept observing this group of soldiers. Including the officers, there were a total of 20 people. In addition, Fang Ye also found that on those old trucks, there were actually quite a few people from the Xia Kingdom. Young women from the Xia Kingdom. All of them had their hands and feet tied, and they looked desperate. It seemed that they were prisoners of these soldiers, and they were going to take them somewhere. Seeing these miserable women, a word full of insults, suddenly appeared in Fang Ye's mind. Idiot. Seeing that Fang Ye ignored the traitor, the officer pretended to be very angry and couldn't wait to jump out and said a bird language. Translated. They are spies, arrest them and take them away. Hearing the words, the soldiers rushed up immediately. Fang Ye looked calm and gestured to Suzuki-u. Suzuki-u was also very smart and immediately hid behind a huge stone on the side of the road. Then Fang Ye took action brazenly. He stepped forward and directly when he came in front of the traitor, he was startled. The next moment, the traitor suddenly felt a sharp pain in his abdomen. He looked down and saw Fang Ye's right hand stabbing into his abdominal cavity at some point. Let me see if your heart is black. Fang Ye said calmly, and pulled hard. Poof. A heart that was still beating was actually taken out by Fang Ye directly from the traitor's belly. Ah! The traitor let out a howl of despair and fell in a pool of blood. He dug out the heart of a living person with his bare hands. This bloody scene frightened the yellow soldiers. Shot. Shooting, the officer looked pale and gave orders loudly. Boom. 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 Countless gunshots rang out. Fang Ye disappeared directly from where he was. It's not that he can teleport. It's that his speed was too fast, so fast that ordinary people couldn't see clearly. When Fang Ye appeared again, had already arrived behind the officer. He pinched the officer's chin and said calmly, such a dirty thing is just right for you. The words fell. Fang Ye grabbed the traitor's heart and stuffed it all into the officer's mouth. The officer rolled his eyes and was on the verge of suffocation. During this process, the soldiers kept shouting and cursing. Shot at Fang Ye. Boom. 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 A large number of bullets hit Fang Ye's body. However, these bullets hit Fang Ye's body, but only broke his clothes. Even Fang Ye's skin could not penetrate. Even modern industrial guns, Fang Ye can already immune to most, let alone these powerful old models. Fang Ye just stood there, completely ignoring the bullets, and stuffed the heart in his hand into the officer's throat alive. You know, a human heart, the size of an adult's fist. If such a big thing is stuffed into the throat, it will definitely end badly. The officer who was shouting "Flower Girl" was suffocated to death in the end. Demon. He is a devil. The invincible devil. Run quickly. The soldiers were frightened and fled one after another. Of course Fang Ye would not let them go. Pick up the stones from the ground, throw them out one by one, and break the legs of all the escaping soldiers. After a few minutes, all the soldiers fell to the ground, screaming and wailing. Fang Ye confiscated all their guns, ordered Suzuki to keep an eye on them, and then opened the truck himself. Looking at the group of panicked women in the truck compartment, Fang Ye sighed. You are free. When they heard this, the women couldn't believe it. After confirming that it was true, they all burst into tears. Although Fang Ye sympathized with them, he didn't have time to take care of them all the time. He pointed to another car of Huang Jun. After looting the supplies, he said to these poor people, divide these things among yourselves, and then find a place to start your life again. Throwing these words, Fang Ye turned around and left. Almost at the moment Fang Ye turned around, all the rescued women kneeled down and kowtowed to Fang Ye. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dimensional Chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mung Garden. Chapter 59. I changed my mind. Fang Ye stood next to Suzuki and suddenly said, next, I don't plan to go to the provincial capital. His original plan was to go to the wharf of the provincial capital, control a ship, and head to the western countries. But now, Fang Ye has a better choice. Among the invading powers, which country can do the most harm to Xia? The heaviest, it must be the island country. Moreover, the island country is closer to the Xia kingdom. It can be reached by boat in 3 or 4 days. There is no need to travel long distances to the west. Suzuki was stunned when he heard this, and then laughed. He said, "I'll just listen to you." Fang Ye nodded and said to Suzuki, "First move these beasts to the nearby woods." He was referring to the screaming soldiers on the ground. Except for the tragic deaths of the traders and officers, the other soldiers are still alive. Next, the fate that awaits them is naturally being fed to zombies by Fang Ye. That night, when old Master Ren saw the light of day again, waves of frightened screams rang out in the woods. Then, Fang Ye followed the same method, waiting for all the corpses of these soldiers to be transformed, and then divided them equally with Suzuki, killed them all one by one, and then burned them in a big fire. Zombies have great vitality. If it is not burned, there is still a possibility of resurrection, which will cause harm to the world. Later, Fang Ye took Suzuki and Mrs. Ren to a new destination, Huangjun's military camp. The military camp is not far from here, only a few dozen miles away. This news was naturally obtained by Fang Ye from the soldiers who had just tortured them into confessing. In fact, there was not much torture to extract confessions. As long as Fang Ye releases Mr. Ren and bites a man to death in front of the soldiers, all the soldiers will immediately be frightened. Ask what you say. Fang Ye also knew that the mission of this military camp was not to fight. Instead, they smuggled Xia Kingdom's precious items to the island country for the big shots to make a fortune. Just right? Fang Ye wanted to go to the island country, so he wanted to go to the military camp. "Xiao Su, how are you? Can you still withstand it?" Fang Ye asked. At this moment, Suzuki's pretty face was full of exhaustion. She hadn't slept for 2 days and 1 night. "I can still hold on," Suzuki responded gently. Fang Ye knew that this girl was being harsh. This was not just 2 days and 1 night without sleep, but also the whole time he was on the road, which consumed a lot of energy. Fang Ye could withstand it because his physique and spirit are far beyond ordinary people. Suzuki can persist until now, which is already very good. "Just be patient and wait until you get on the boat to have a good sleep," Fang Ye said. "It's quiet at night. At this time, it's already 12 o'clock at midnight. In the dark." Fang Ye stood on a hillside, looking down at the military camp ahead. The military camp was brightly lit and there were many soldiers standing guard. It is surrounded by a wall with barbed wire, and there are searchlights on the high platform, which are constantly scanning the surroundings of the military camp. It looks a bit like a modern military base. However, this military camp is very small, and in order to hide high-value goods from being discovered, Huangjun built the military camp in a valley, just like a bandit's den. Fang Ye took a few glances and realized that as long as the front and back doors were blocked, not a single Huangjun in the military camp could escape. Soon, a combat plan took shape in Fang Ye's mind. "Xiao Su, you will be here later and knock out all the lights in the military camp. Can you do that?" Suzuki nodded and tightened the rifle in his hand. Of course the rifles belonged to the soldiers before. Without bows and arrows, Suzuki's marksmanship was also first class and accurate. Although it is a bit far to shoot the lights in the military camp from here. But Suzuki was still somewhat confident about his marksmanship. Fang Ye glanced at Suzuki and said, "If any fish escape the net, I'll leave it to you to deal with it." Hearing this, Suzuki felt a little nervous. But she didn't say it out loud, and still nodded firmly in agreement. Because she didn't want to be useless. Next, the battle plan began. Fang Ye didn't know where to find it. A very large boulder, just carrying it, walking towards the military camp step by step. When they were approaching the entrance of the military camp, 2 soldiers who were standing guard discovered something unusual. Ida-san, there seems to be something over there. Nani? Why did not I see? It's too dark to see clearly. I'll go over and have a look. A soldier was about to go over to check. On the hillside, Suzuki took action. I saw her change from her usual gentle demeanor, her eyes were sharp, she picked up the rifle and pointed it at the light in the military camp. Boom! A gunshot was heard. A lamp in the military camp shattered in response to the sound. No, there are enemies. Ready to fight. Soon, the alarm bells rang loudly in the military camp and there was chaos. Countless sleeping soldiers were awakened by the alarm bells. They hurriedly put on their military uniforms, picked up their weapons, and rushed out like wolves and tigers. Where are the enemies? Where is the enemy? What responded to them was a huge boulder flying from a distance. Boom! The boulder fell to the ground, making a sound like an earthquake. More than a dozen soldiers were killed instantly, and the boulder directly blocked the exit. Then, gunshots were heard again on the hillside in the distance. Almost after every gunshot, one of the lamps in the military camp was broken. Suzuki's shooting skills can definitely be regarded as a sharpshooter. Soon, all the lights were knocked out, and the military camp was pitch dark. Many soldiers panicked and ran around like headless flies. Idiot! Don't panic, go get a flashlight, a man who looked like an officer reprimanded loudly. At this moment, a black shadow appeared in the darkness and flashed behind the officer. As soon as the officer noticed that there was someone behind him, he felt severe pain in his neck, and then he fell down and fell unconscious. The god of death has sneaked into the military camp. Then, a massacre began in the darkness. And on the other side, Uncle Ju and others finally arrived in the provincial capital. Dimensional chosen, only I know Saitama is the strongest. Author, Mungbean Garden. Chapter 60. In the military camp. Screams were heard from time to time. At this time, half an hour had passed since Fang Ye invaded the military camp. The military camp had already fallen, and Fang Ye had successfully occupied it by force alone. And there were hundreds of soldiers in the military camp. Except for a few unlucky ones who were killed, most of them had their legs broken by Fang Ye and lay on the ground wailing. There was a big stone blocking the entrance, and all the Huang soldiers were like turtles in an urn, not one of them escaped. At this moment, Mr. Ren is here drinking so much that his mouth was full of blood. The appearance of old Master Ren almost frightened the soldiers. Some of the timid ones were so frightened that they became incontinent or even passed out. As a zombie, old Master Ren, but regardless of whether you are unconscious or not, just don't hinder it from sucking blood. Although Mr. Ren no longer has legs, he has learned to crawl on the ground with his hands, and the speed of crawling is quite fast. Those who have broken legs, the soldiers, one after another, could not outrun Mr. Ren, and they all died tragically in the mouth of Mr. Ren. On the second floor of the largest wooden house in the military camp, several officers were sitting on chairs, watching the zombies in the camp. They were biting people. They were so frightened that their faces turned pale, but they had to look. Because Fang Ye forced them to look. Suzuki was standing next to him with a gun in his hand, staring at him eagerly. Who dared to turn his head? Or if you close your eyes, you will get shot in the leg. How about it? Have you figured it out? There are not many soldiers left alive. If you haven't made a decision before all those soldiers are bitten to death, then it will be your turn. Fang Ye's faint voice rang in everyone's ears, like the king of hell urging orders. He spoke in island language, which these officers could definitely understand. Since entering this forbidden area, they have automatically mastered various languages in this world. This is the magical place in the forbidden area. As soon as Fang Ye's voice fell, there were officers, crying and begging for mercy. They were really frightened by old Master Ren. These officers would rather commit seppuku than die in the mouth of a zombie. The blood was sucked dry. Fanya laughed. Very good, when you send me to the island, I will let you live. Of course this is just talk. With the cooperation of these officers, the next plan can be implemented smoothly. Fanya first forced these officers to contact the cargo ship and dock it at the dock. Then he asked these officers to do hard work at a deep pit was dug on the camp playground. After a few officers were so tired that they were sweating profusely and dug the deep pit, the soldiers who were bitten to death also began to slowly transform into corpses. The result was naturally that they were killed again, giving Fanya and Suzuki a collect mission points. It is worth mentioning that after drinking the blood of hundreds of people, Mr. Ren's moral character has greatly improved. Now Mr. Ren has black hair all over his body, and his eyes are no longer scarlet, but black eyes, no different from ordinary people. The most important thing is that Mr. Ren's body has become flexible and he seems to have mastered the ability to fly. With a slight jump, he can fly far away. If Uncle Ju is here, you will definitely be surprised here. Because Mr. Ren's current state is very consistent with the characteristics of a high-level zombie flying zombie. In addition, this time Mr. Ren seems to have learned well and has not acted stupidly, nor has he expanded due to the improvement of his strength to provoke Fang. After sucking the blood of the soldiers, it also wanted to suck the blood of the officers. However, when Fanya looked over, Mr. Ren immediately became obedient and stayed aside obediently, not at all like before. He looked so fierce. It made Fanya feel a little uncomfortable. Well, have you learned enough? It makes me want to beat you, but I can't find an excuse, Fang. Ye sighed in his heart and slowly loosened his fist. Half an hour later, all the corpse-turned soldiers were burned in the pit. Fanya and Suzuki's mission points skyrocketed again. If they choose to return at this time, they will definitely get a very good mission evaluation. However, Fanya was not satisfied yet. He has only one goal. Just get the highest task rating. Next, he will turn the entire island country into a paradise for zombies, and then crazily earn mission points. Time. It's already around 5 or 6 in the morning. Sir, the cargo ship has arrived at the dock. An officer stepped forward, bowed his head and said to Fanya. The attitude is extremely humble. Fanya nodded and prepared to leave. At this time, outside the military camp, the sound of a car engine suddenly came from. Fanya immediately looked outside the military camp. I saw an old-fashioned large truck driving from a distance and parked outside the military camp. Immediately afterwards, several foreigners got out of the car and looked at the damaged military camp in surprise. Oh, by it! Can anyone tell me what's going on here? Fang. Yes, expression changed, and he asked the officers beside him, what do these foreigners do? Them. The officer was sweating, but he finally said truthfully, they are businessmen who came to buy antiques. Hearing this, Fanya understood instantly. It is clear. These officers were responsible for collecting valuables and taking them back to the big shots. At the same time, they did not forget to earn some extra money for themselves and secretly sold antiques to foreigners. Subsequently, Fanya smiled. He strode up to several foreigners and announced, from now on, you are all my prisoners. The foreigners